Hi, I'm Sarah, and this is my Twitch stream, Sarah RPG, because I'm Sarah and I like to play roleplay games of the tabletop variety. And today we are finishing up Stewpot, which is a Tales from a Fantasy Tavern. It's usually played as a group, but I decided to play it solo. We have a few characters here. We have Mackenzie Guyver, who started out as a rogue. She has a sword that whispers things to her, and it was basically what taught her how to be a rogue once she stole the sword as a young teen. She's trying to settle down and has taken over running a tavern from a little old lady who recently passed away during an attack of the undead on the town of Black Oak. We have Twinky, the goblin, specifically a fighting bard, and he's become the chef. He likes to fleece people with card games. He has recently been cursed by the spirit of the lake, who has given him webbed hands and feet, so he can no longer wear his prized shiny black boots, which is a bummer for him. We also have Carter as amnesiac bartender. They don't know anything about him. He doesn't really know anything about them either, but he has found their way into their hearts. If Twinky has a heart, actually, we know Twinky has a heart because Twinky may have gotten laid during one of the recent sessions. A series of events have happened. They have grown or started a slime farm to help with the key ingredient that Twinky likes to put into a number of their foods, a number of their menu items. During the recent undead attack, unfortunately Squishy, a beloved slime, was lost, fell off the cliff, has not been seen or heard from since. Mackenzie has sort of had feelings, or at least is crushing on Carter. Carter is not really mysterious, but you know what I mean? Just is the kind of helpful, nice guy, but just doesn't really know anything. And we've had a few hints, but yeah, we'll see how we go from there. What were we going to do today? I had a few ideas, but I think we were going to go straight into Festival Day. That sounds like a good idea, right? And go from there. We romanced a stranger. Who was the name of the stranger? Oh, man, I've got pages and pages in this Google Doc. There was the friendly tavern brawl with Carter, which happened. Oh, because of the neighbouring town of Millvale are in... A number of people are over for the annual pie festival, which is the festival day we'll be running next. Twinky romancing an itinerant blacksmith called George, who was a half-orc. There we go. So we assumed something happened there. Because they followed Twinky back to Twinky's room. Anyway, we'll say we're getting ready for the festival. Festival Day, page 96. So Black Oak is known across the region for its spectacular pie festival. How do we prepare and how do we handle the crowds? So we've got the setup. We can have each player describes one decoration or feature of the festival. Does your character care about this festival? Do they hate it? Take turns playing out scenes from the festival. On your turn, ask another player. Take on a challenge from the list or create one you want to see them attempt if the player's having trouble. Once you describe how you resolve a challenge, flip a coin. On heads, you succeed. On tails, your character is knocked out for the rest of the minigame. Heads, succeed. Tails, knocked out. Is it literally knocked out? Or just out of the running? Okay, each player uses an experience once during a challenge to automatically gain a point. If you're knocked out, you can still attempt challenges as a named NPC. Okay. I'll basically say we will be playing as MKNZ, Twinky, and Carter. When you've earned 5 points, or if all characters have been knocked out, whichever happens first, turn to the cleanup section. So we need to somehow get 5 points with only 3 characters. We'll see how this goes. Alrighty ho. So, let's pick a challenge for each of the characters, and we'll do as many as we can till we get to 5 points, or we'll get knocked out of the running. You severely underestimated the amount of prepped ingredients you would need for a festival and have to use a knife faster than you ever have before. That kind of sounds like a Twinky one. Twinky for number 1, for the knife. A mishap occurs while sorting luggage and you need to track down several lost bags. You put the pieces together and track down the bags in no time at all. Gain a point? Okay. A very upset guest is causing commotion. You draw lots and you've got to count the short straw. Okay. The regulars egg you want to take part in a contest while you're working, and they're very insistent. Probably a pie eating contest. An adventurer is a little careless in handling a magical artifact that goes haywire in the middle of festivities. Supplies are running low and there's no chance to replace them exactly. You're going to have to improvise. There's a rough storm on the way, but you might be able to board everything up or weather it out if it just grazes you. The equipment you're using for the stand you've set up and the town square isn't exactly new, but it's given you more trouble than usual. Business is slowed down because of a competing place nearby and you need to come up with a way to draw more people in fast. Okay, let's just, we'll make our way through them and see how we go. Alright, first challenge, we're going with Twinky. So, Twinkle Toes, as I'm calling him for today. Festivals. It's a pie eating festival. Twinky has severely underestimated the amount of prepped ingredients he needs for the festival, and it has to use a knife faster than he ever has before. What have we got? We have Twinky is having to go... What's that, Fruit Ninja? Was it Fruit Ninja game where you go... Let's see how well he does as I flip it. I'm really afraid I'm going to flip it into my drink, so I'll do it over to the other side here. Oh no! I got tails! How the fuck does Twinky fuck this up? His webbed hands have gotten in the way. But they're not as aerodynamic as they used to be, because there's extra bit of skin, and he's like... And it's a bit harder to wield the knife, and he's just a little bit slimy. He's like fishy webbed, so the knife slips from his grasp, and it sails across and lands in the wall of like inches away from Carter's nose or something, because he was just coming past with like a sack of flour or something. And how does that take Twinky out of the running? Twinky gets disqualified and taken away by by the local law enforcement because they believe he was trying to attack someone. So that is how Twinky gets taken out. So we have one fail. No. Twinky fails the knife and almost impales Carter. Is taken away by the local constabulary. Constabulary. I can't spell constabulary. It autocorrected. So that is a fail. What's next? A mishap occurs while sorting luggage and you need to track down several lost bags. Who do we think should do that? Maybe Carter wasn't hauling flour, Carter was hauling luggage. So Carter was in the middle of his challenge while he almost gets impaled. Yeah, public endangerment, JR, that's the thing. So we've got Carter hunting down lost luggage. I'm afraid to flip the coin. I just feel like they're all going to come up tails. Anyway, whose luggage is it? You need to track down several lost bags. It's some dick. It's got to be some dick. Some hoity-toity. We'll go for hoity-toity lady of some noble house. Black Oak is where they where they have their holiday lodgings or some shit like this. Anyway, she's a real bitch. And heads. But he is Carter is able to locate the missing luggage, which he found hidden in their carriage. Because she's a bitch. She's a Karen. Lady Karen wanted to fleece them and have them pay compensation for losing luggage. Yeah, we'll say that the reason they had to stay, Lady Karen had to stay there, is because their holiday lodging was did not survive the undead marching a while ago. Okay, so that's 1 fail. I guess that means whatever's next is on M. Kenzie. A very upset guest is causing a commotion, and you draw lots, and you've gotten the short straw. Well, it's Lady Karen again, obviously. What is she causing a commotion about this time? What does Lady Karen cause a commotion about, JR? What do you reckon? Maybe she doesn't like Carter because he foiled her plans. Or maybe she wanted to book Carter for the night for other things, and he said no. What do you reckon? She's causing commotion at the festival? Yeah, well, I think that they're a guest that's causing a commotion. So they are there for the festival, but they don't have to necessarily be causing a commotion at the festival. But at the tavern, sorry. That's fine doing sessions at once. I just want to include the audience, because Dixon says that's the problem with solo ones, is I don't include you guys enough and interact enough. So I'm proving them wrong. I would say that she does not want a goblin touching her food. So she's bitching. M. Kinsey has to deal with Lady Karen bitching about a goblin cooking her food and refuses to eat any food he has touched, cooked, or even looked at. We'll see how this goes. Kenzie. Oh, fuck me. It's another fail. So the fail here is for tails. They took your ear off, and you barely managed to excuse yourself hours later. So it's a whole talk to your manager thing. Kenzie fails to resolve the situation, is accosted by Karen, who demanded she speak with the manager, who is unfortunately Mackenzie. So she's out for the rest of the festival. Okay, we've only got Carter. Ah, dear. The regulars egg you on to take part in a contest while you're working, and they're very insistent. Pie eating contest is roped into the pie eating contest. The main, which flavor of pie? Because I'm sure there's probably a number of different pie eating contests across the whole festival. Is it the main one? Would it be a savory one, or will it be a gross one? We'll find out. Maybe if he fails, it turns out to be something he does not like. Yeah, roped into one of the pie eating contests by the tavern's regulars. We're ready to see how this goes. Oops, I dropped it. It's not counted. It fell off onto my chair. I think you can guess what the result is there. This is not the best way to resolve the festival day. About halfway through, he starts feeling very sick and needs to recuperate our back for the while. So, what is it? Unfortunately, Ricardo, the flavor of pie is one that he hates, and due to psychological reasons, he ends up barfing. He ends up barfing all of what he had swallowed because yuck. I'm way with good words, yes me, so that's a fail. Ooh. Okay, so that was festival day. That didn't end well. Hi. Okay, so we've marked off festival day. Oh, we've got to clean up, don't we? Not that any of them are available to clean up, but we'll see what it says. It's finally over. As the festival draws to a close, count up your points. If your characters have 5 or more points, you can upgrade the tavern. Damn it! If all your characters got knocked out, describe how everyone helps each other recover from the chaos. How do they recover from the chaos? Okay. Clean up. I think that they probably just all get drunk. Probably Carter would have to go sleep. Take something to settle his stomach. Carter is we'll see. Mackenzie does it. Mackenzie gives Carter something to settle his stomach and sends him to bed early. Twinky gives Mackenzie alcohol, and he gets plastered after her run-in with Lady Karen. So does that mean Carter helps out Twinky in some way? Assures Twinky that he's fine and clears things up with the local constabulary. So that they do that, what else do they need to do? Finally take turns coming up with reviews of the festival and your tavern's participation from random townspeople. This could be whispers of conversation overheard around town, a mention in a local newspaper column, or even a social media post, depending on your setting. Good and bad, what did festival attendees have to say about the tavern? And what will your characters remember? What did people say? Now, we have some NPCs. I should probably note deceased under the little old lady. We have Jock the Roofer, who's the skinny old half-orc. We have Randolph Splitfoot the Courier, who was not really a local, but we have seen him a couple of times now. And we have Aaron Fiddleroot the Teacher. And we also have Lady Karen. Oh, let's do some Yelp reviews. Maybe we could call them something different. Anyway, so we'll have a review from Lady Karen. And we'll have a review from Jock. And we'll have a review from Aaron Fiddleroot. And we'll do a star rating as well. What do you think? Lady Karen, 0 out of 5. No, we'll give them 1. She'll go 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5. 1/5 of a star. Okay. 1 out of 5 stars. 1 out of 5 stars. She can't really call them incompetent because they were competent. They just foiled her plans. So how can she spin that so that it sounds bad? So did not treat the customer is always right, and the establishment disrespected me, my person. The festival was full of commoners. Filthy commoners. And goblins were disgusting. Goblins served inedible garbage that they called food. The only redeeming feature of this establishment was not the management, but the eye candy in the form of one very handsome bartender. Would not visit again. Jock the Roofer. Hang on, what was it that our guys served at their tent, at their stand at the pie festival? Was it a slime pie? Key slime pie? 5 out of 5 stars. It's funny how it doesn't convert it to that little fraction. 5 out of 5 stars. Favorite food was the Gobbo's key slime pie. Aaron Fiddleroot. Spice slime pie. Well, I was going with key lime pie and just add the S on key slime pie. Yeah. What would Aaron say? 4 out of 5. Oh my god, it fractioned it. 4 out of 5 stars. Now, this is the teacher. So I think Aaron Fiddleroot would be the most reasonable ones. Came for the key slime pie. No. But stayed for the company service and conversation. 4/5 of a star. Yes, we need to. That's what it makes it sound like, but I've got stars. So, maybe if I put a see, it's treating it as 4 5 stars. There we go. Well, I could just say 1 star. That's better. Aim for the key slimes, hey. Which was, we should put in there, which was great. Now, I'm gonna try. Yes! That's an M dash. Did I want an M dash? Yes, I did. Which was delicious. Nope. Would recommend to anyone seeking a good pie and refreshing something. Refreshing what? Refreshing time. The one is good and bad. What did festivities have to say about the tavern, and what will the characters remember? Remember, I think that Twinky will remember the brief time he spent in lockup, where he taunted the young elven constable who had to guard him. Carter will remember. What would Carter remember? Would he remember the trauma? The trauma of. Did we ever come up with a pie flavor? Maybe he didn't like slime. Eating and uneating. Eating so many gross pies and being re-traumatized by uneating them. He felt the crust texture was off. I should scroll up a bit. What will Kenzie remember? Kenzie will remember. Will try to blank out the memory of being trapped by Lady Karen and attempt to forget the smell of her breath as she was invading her personal space. Also, the litany of words that she used to assault her verbally and insult her intelligence, the ability to run a tavern and inn, and call into question her I want to say ability again, but we've already said ability. Her chances of attracting a life partner. God, man, Lady Karen, what a bitch. Anyway, so we've done Festival Day. Disgruntled guest. I don't think we needed to do that. We just had Lady Karen. That one last week. We could do what they do off the clock, or we could do a glass of the gods. Oh, we should probably do a glass of the gods. That gives Carter something to do. Then we can go to shields and skillets, and then we can go into the final one. Yeah, glass of the gods. Boop boop doo boop boop boop. Go to page 5. It's page 6. So close. Glass of the Gods. This is so funny because there is a anime, and I don't know if it's based on a manga, but there's an anime which might be called A Glass of the Gods as well. So it's something I had heard about before seeing it here. So I was like, cool, look at that. That's something different. Something I know something vaguely about. So anyway, it says, adventurers love to wind down after a long journey with a drink. Most of the time they just have several rounds of whatever's cheap and cause a harmless ruckus. But sometimes a troubled adventurer comes in looking for answers at the bottom of a glass. Maybe you faced the same trouble before. Maybe you're just a shoulder to lean on. In any case, you feel a responsibility to ask the right questions and make the perfect drink, something that can help the adventurer look inside and find an answer or a path forward, which is basically what the anime is about, that you make them the perfect drink that will help them, as it says, look inside and find an answer or a path forward. So it's not the drink they want, it's the drink they need, kind of thing. And it's called A Glass of the Gods. Anyway, so it's set up one per place. Well, obviously it's not going to be a pair. We're going to be writing this. It's about to the adventure player. Adventurer, decide whether you'd like an alcoholic drink or a non-alcoholic drink. Let's figure out what's troubling you and come up with something on your own, or use one of the. So we'll use one of the prompts here. That the adventurer, we need to come up with an adventurer as well. That would be good. What haven't we done? We've done humans, goblins, half-orcs, and I've mentioned an elf just recently. I guess it could be a fellow human, maybe. Come up with a name. Adventurer. The Glass of the Gods. A Glass of the Gods. A Glass of the Gods. Carter. And since Carter doesn't really know their background, this is also a good chance for Carter to, something maybe clicks on Carter, that we find out a little bit more about Carter as well. We'll look at the options and maybe that'll help us create a character. A lover has grown distant while you're away adventuring. A member of your party died while you're out in the wild or down in the dungeon and you miss them dearly. Your party never seems to find enough treasure and fights over money are always breaking out. You were badly injured on your last adventure and you have doubts that you can continue being an adventurer. Your deity asks so much of you and you question if your faith is really worth it. I kind of like that one. Although you love adventuring, recently you've been missing home or you don't feel like you have a home to return to. Violence is part of the job, but you can't shake the feeling that you have innocent blood in your hands. We could combine the deity one with the violence one. I like that one. So, what we need to do, because I've already kind of leaned towards what I think Carter did as an adventurer, and I think those two match up with it. So we need to come up with an adventurer. Cool bananas. So the bartender describes the current atmosphere of the tavern and one deal about the adventurer that draws their attention. So we'll start there, I think. Okay. Looks like we also have to mix the drink and present the drink. Oh. Nice. There's some cool things we'll look at the moment as a table of options. Okay. So we'll start by setting the scene. God, we've got a lot of questions to ask the dude. So I'm just gonna go with another an elf? Half-elf? Gnome? I really like gnomes. We'll go with a female half-elf. Female half-elf enters the tavern late one stormy night. Drab, drizzling night. the regulars, some of the regulars have left. For their dry homes. So it's become a bit boring. It's quite quiet. By the time she arrives, what stands out to Carter. Ah! Not a 0. Is the dull armor and the shabby tunic. This shouldn't be. I don't know what things are called. Light tunic over top. It has the symbol of the of the not moon, not sun, of a silent god. One that somehow knows, stands for the innocent and forgotten of the realm. A pacifist. Usually worshipped by pacifists. He's unsure how he knows this, but he feels something. He feels he thinks he remembers from his past before he had forgotten. Alright. Alright. So we've got to ask some questions. The cat asks her some questions. How strong do you like your drinks? He asks. How's it? Usually non-alcoholic. But I think tonight I'd like to feel it burn. Gosh, we've gone from, hilarious shenanigans to something a bit more serious here, haven't we? Okay, Carter. What reminds you of home? I'm just going to call her Half from now, because it's faster to type. What reminds you of home? My faith. Yes, that's fitting as we near the end, says JR. Carter says, do you have a sweet tooth? Half. No. Yes. I mean, yes. Carter. Where was your last adventure? half. Am I loud enough as I mumble? Where was your last adventure? Well, they mentioned a dungeon in some of the prompts, so I'm just going to go with that. A dungeon that sprang up recently on the east side of Melvale. The rogue and fighter assisted we go, as we hadn't found much treasure of late, and I had not been able to send anything back to the monastery. So I foolishly agreed. Okay, Carter, is there a taste that you hate? Oh, something like that's a bit harder for me to come up with, like a personal preference. Is there a taste that you hate? I got one. The metallic taste of blood. Carter, why did you become an adventurer? Adventurer. To help people. To help others. To provide for my monastery. It sounds like she's a monk, but she's, actually a paladin. Those that could not, that were too young and innocent to help themselves. Carter. What are the tenets of your faith? Oh god, it's almost like the book knew I was picking a paladin. To remember the lost and the forgotten. To stand up for them and to stand up for them and protect the innocent. Carter, are you sleeping well at night? Half. No. It's interesting. There's like a question about the alcohol, and then there's a question about how you're doing, or feeling, and your beliefs and morals and stuff like that. And then there's another question about something that's drink related. Do you have a favorite fruit? Ugh, I just saw the spelling on the book. It's American. Sorry. It was just... I shouldn't have said that. Do you have a favorite fruit? You're engaging your Canadian side. Fair enough. I still got one sock on and one sock off. That's interesting. Favorite fruit? Mandarins. I hate having to peel them. They're easy to keep in your pockets and taste so nice. What is the most beautiful thing you've seen on an adventure? Ooh. So I was just reading back on the prompts that I had for the adventurer. Your deity asks so much of you and you question your faith is really worth it. But we're not really doing that. It's more violence as part of the job, but you can't shake the feeling that you have instant blood on your hands. Okay. It's not necessarily that one either, so what is the most beautiful thing on an adventure? I kind of want to see, like, it's cheating. Home after the adventure. No, that works. Home after the adventure is over. Card's next story. He's no longer asking about alcohol now, it's all about the adventures. What is the most terrifying thing you've seen on an adventure? Loss of life. Endless. Rivulets of blood. Massacre of innocents. And arriving too late to stop. Or even not stop. To stop or even provide aid to those suffering. Okay. Who or what was the toughest foe you've defeated? These are tough. Who or what is the toughest foe you have defeated? King of the Dire Wombats? You want to bring in some comedy here? Who or what was the toughest foe you've defeated? Filling in for Dixon, maybe. Dixon was the toughest foe we've defeated. Or he could be the answer to the next question. No, I actually have an answer to the last question. I just came out with it right now. Toughest foe. A prince who was set to take over the king, however, was evil and rejected his people to people who did not support or agree with him to torture, abuse, and worse. It took a while and many to still survive. Right, save many. See above. He did defeat him in the end. The princess currently Not compensating, but she's the one who's trying to, right, attempting to rebuild her people, and provide better, become than her brother. Hope she succeeds. Successes. Alright, another Carter question. Last question. Carter. Who or what was the toughest foe you couldn't defeat? Oh, God. Greed of my fellow party members. I think I'll leave it at that and move on to the next part. Let's go back to the book. Presenting and drinking the glass. Once there are no more questions to ask, the bartender mixes the drink. It could be a specialty cocktail, a wine or spirit hidden deep in the cellar, an herbal tea, or a spiced cider. Finally, each player resolves their final prompts. The bartender: create a drink for the adventurer to soothe their troubles. Is there a story to this drink, and where is it from? Who was it first made for? The adventurer: have you gained a new perspective on your problems after this? Can you move forward? Can you let go? If you're having trouble coming up with a drink, put something together using the example components. And below, we have some options. Base drink, syrups, flavors, and garnishes. Isn't that cool? Should we pick one? We can roll. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we can do 2d6. The base drink is 10 tomato juice. Okay. Let's make the drink. The drink. The base is tomato juice. The other one. 7. So 9, 8, 7. Hot sauce. She did say she wanted it to burn. With a hot sauce. What's the garnish? Oh my God, cayenne pepper. Okay. We need a name for this drink. Wow. Twinky's bad attitude. I was thinking something like hot tamale or hot Todd. It's Twinky didn't make it. It's not Twinky's bad attitude. I don't think Twinky is hot and spicy. Do you? He might be spicy, but I don't think he's hot. Actually, I think maybe Twinky did mix this up for him once, and that's why he's making it again. Called Twinky's bad attitude. So what else are we supposed to do for the bartender side of it? Create a drink for the adventurer to soothe their troubles. Well, it gives them another trouble. Is there a story behind this drink? Where's it from? Where's it made? Okay. Originally made by Twinky for Carter one night when he was lamenting his lost memories. And Twinky decided he needed something else to lament. And Twinky was getting sick of him. Decided he needed something else. Okay. Got that. The adventurer, have you gained a new perspective on your problems after this? Can you move forward? Can you let it go? Let's go back to the Google Doc. The adventurer sputters once after the first sip. Dries water as she takes a gulp of air for downing the rest of the spicy concoction. Passes her a glass of milk to wash it down and offers a hanky. She quietly accepts. Did the adventurer drink this concoction? The heartburn would be nice. Yes, exactly. Okay. So, what was it? Half. Smooth. I think has helped put everything into perspective. Kinda. What do you do now? I think I need to part ways with some people. They're not healthy for me. Not healthy for anyone. And then I think I'll go home and pray for forgiveness. Forgiveness. For what? For all I have done and for what I'm about to do next. I think she's going to kill the party. Thank you. I needed that. You're welcome. Elf staggers with her feet and heads for the door. As she opens it, she pauses and says, oh, I want to say something here. What does she say? When was the last time you prayed? Not when was the last time. Maybe you should get away. Maybe you should find your way back. Maybe you should find your way. I don't want to make it sound like he should leave. This is everything I'm having up. It makes it sound like he should leave. I don't want him to leave. I want it to sound like he should find his way back to the god as well. But do that without leaving. Because he's his memory. Maybe you should. Maybe you should. Find his way within himself, meaning order another drink. Meanwhile, order another drink. Maybe you should make yourself drink too. Your spirit is lost? No, your face? No. He will help you. He hasn't abandoned you. Lost. We'll leave it at that. Her eyes, the closed door after she's left. For doing just as she suggested. I think we'll leave that one there. And we'll go to Shields and Skillets and Shields, or whatever it's called. Go to page 6. Shields and Skillets. Enchantments are volatile things, especially when they sit unused for years. A long time ago, many retired adventurers died in tragic accidents caused by their old enchanted equipment. Homes were leveled, sometimes even whole towns. Many believe these disasters were caused by the curses an adventurer accumulated over their career. Certain enchanters eventually realized the root of the problem, but they couldn't separate the magical and physical on their own. It takes a high level of skill in both disciplines to disentangle the work that created such an item. This is why enchanters and blacksmiths often travel in pairs. One such pair... we have a blacksmith! What was the George? We have George the blacksmith. And we could have someone else turn up as well. Shields and Skillets. Kenzie. George. Was he a full orc or a half orc? George. Twinky's half orc lover. Thank you. Has been hanging out at the tavern quite a lot lately. He's been doing some freelance blacksmithing work for townspeople and Twinky. Gotta upgrade that kitchen. When his buddy Dolores, the gnome, no, not a gnome, Dolores, I don't know why I called her Dolores. Dolores the wizard, the black wizard, arrives. The two spend the day huddled together at a table, watching Kenzie. Alright. Set up. Everyone plays. Take turns describing items and telling stories about them. First, the owner of an enchanted item describes it, then any other character can tell a story of how the item was used in the past. Tell at least one story for each other. So it's got stories from the past. The time you saved my life, a desperate defense, back to back in the middle of a fierce battle, an unexpected solution to a puzzle, a breaking point, and reforging a glorious duel. a devil feat in absurd situations. So, since these guys never actually adventured together, the only things we can probably mention are things that it might have happened when they were all at the tavern. So the undead army fighting M. Kenzie would have used that. The sword then. Did we ever name the sword? It was probably got a name. If we can come up with that, that would be great. Otherwise, no idea. Oh, might it not have been called something like the Soul or something? Because it was a blinding light. Because we had an assassinista del Sol, and someone said there was a blinding sunlight comes from the sword. Not a very good rogue then, if that's the case. But so we can say that someone can remark on the time that Gertrude. I'll just call it Sunny. We could say that Sunny, the Whispering Sword, was used during the marching of the undead to save Jock, so maybe he mentioned it. Also to defend the tavern and the townspeople were holing up there. So that's Jock could use it. Employees. I think that maybe Twinky stole it. Stole it once to use to hack up the lionfish, but Sunny wasn't happy with this and blinded Twinky with radiant sunlight. It took days for Twinky to be able to see again, and sometimes he still sees spots, especially if he dares to even glance at the sword. Glance in the sword's direction. Okay, what about breaking point, a reforging an unexpected solution to a puzzle. To break in the middle of a fierce battle. Desperate defense. Time you saved my life. Glorious daredevil feat. Maybe, an absurd situation. Maybe, Kenzie recalls a time where she had to use Sunny as a toothpick to help a giant with a goat stuck between its teeth. It's an absurd situation, right? I want to say there was a glorious duel. Maybe Carter and Mackenzie ended up back to back in a fight against a rival tavern in Millvale, in nearby Millvale. How would that have started? The other tavern cheated by hiring mercenaries to fight them. But Butch, Mackenzie, and Carter prevailed. Had I even surprised everyone by punching one of them so hard they ended up flying through the air and up onto a roof. Or did he cause some healing? I don't know. I think we should do some lay on hands or something. 1 point Kinsey had been flagging, but Carter briefly placed his hand on her shoulder, and she suddenly felt refreshed and jumped back into the fray to kick some more ass. So letting go, the enchanter and the blacksmith are ready. Once everyone has told their stories, the item's owner tells the group how they got it in the first place. For each weapon, flip a coin. Heads, the item is safely disenchanted. The blacksmith asks if you'd like to forge it into something new. Tails, disaster is narrowly averted. There is very little of the item left to salvage. How do you say goodbye? You may give someone a keepsake made from the remnants of your enchanted item. Okay. Whew, a flip of a coin. Kinsey finally reveals her origin story. The group. She stole a sword from a noble's house because it told her to. Then had to flee from the noble and has remained on the run ever since. At least until he settled in Black Oak. How all of her skills been the result of following the sword's instructions. Training. Having learned. Now we have to flip a coin. I'm just going to scroll back up to say that you can see sick being stared at confronts the two as they explain who they introduce themselves properly and explain that they can unenchant the sword. George and Dolores said about preparing for the disenchantment ritual and reforging. While Kinsey, Carter, and Twinky about the Sunblade sword. I'll put that up there as well. Wrong button. George and Dolores are finally ready to Begging. Ha, I'm begging you. Put your love in the hands. Where the fuck did I put my coin? Did I put it back in my coin person? No, there it is. Alright. Heads safely disenchanted. Tails disaster narrowly avoided. Here we go. Sparks of magic flare from the sun, the blade, the sword. Mackenzie jumps and she hears the scream coming from it. Dolores yells at the guys to hold her back, and she can only watch in horror as the blade continues to scream in agony and spit out curses and epithets at her for abandoning it in such a cruel manner. The time the ritual is complete, everyone is spent. No, everyone is exhausted. Dolores forms them all. The sword was much stronger. They had realized and had fought back, attempting to curse them. They narrowly averted this disaster. The sword itself was destroyed as it might feel to Mackenzie, who had spent so much time in its company, was killed. Alone she shed a lone tear for breaking free Carter's hold and marching outside. That's rough and traumatic, right? She collects a few remnants of the sword, offers to forge it into a more small brooch. Ada nods, leaves them to it in search of Mackenzie. They spend the night together in silence, sitting together. I'm not saying they get jiggy with it. It's just getting gross. Keep hitting the wrong things. Okay, final one. In the rhythm of things, not in the rhythm of the night, but in the rhythm of things, go to page 6. Last one, we'll finish it. I haven't been doing wear and tear, but yeah, contemplative silence. Contemplative silence. Oh god, I can't even words. In the rhythm of things. In the rhythm of the night. Okay, let's go back to the book. Time passes, rough edges are sanded down. Before you know it, life in town has become like breathing. You gather in your favourite part of the tavern and wonder where the time has gone. This is the last game. Everyone plays. Everyone takes turns describing a habit their character picked up while living here, then proceed to the ending questions. Okay. So, we'll pick a habit and then answer the questions, I guess. Jeez, this is quite a lot of questions. Right. Let's go back to the Googly Docs. The Googly Docs. A habit. What habit has Twinky picked up? Twinky's habit. I think Twinky has a habit of... is it a habit or a routine that I'm thinking of? I'm just thinking that he's probably... He starts his day... Maybe starts the day the same way. Now, does he start the day by feeding the slimes? Or does he start the day by... I think he's just developed a routine. The routine. Morning routine. Feeding slimes after a brisk swim in the lake. Which is why how he finds Squishy one morning trapped in a cave at the base of the cliff. Twinky rescues a very skinny, gaunt, what would you call a depleted? What would you call a slime? Very small, Squishy. And returns him to the farm and reunites him with Carter. Yeah, I mean, I just said that he went off the cliff, so I had no intention of saying he died. He went off the cliff and landed in the water, so he got washed up in a cave at the base of the cliff. Who knows how long he's been there for. Surviving on, whatever gets washed up there with him. Carter's got a habit of... I think he's picked up a habit of drinking that drink. Carter's habit is occasionally or regularly. Regularly could kill him though. Make himself a glass of Twinky's bad attitude as every time he suffers from it, he also regains a memory fragment. of the paladin he used to be. His tolerance to heat has also increased. Has increased because of it. He quite likes spicy foods now. Mackenzie's habit. What is a new habit that she has? I think she has a habit of looking at roofs, because we gave her some experience of roofing early on, of looking at roofs. Her skill as a roofer and learning from Jock has improved, and she is critical of others. Any roof she spies. Okay, that was the easy one. Okay, so now we have to answer some questions. They're ending questions. So many. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 questions. Jeebus. Okay, so what was the hardest part of fitting into town? That's interesting. Twinky, Carter, Kinsey. Staying in one place for so long. From Kinsey. She's always been on the run, so that makes sense. Carter's hardest part of fitting into town. That's a good question. Twinky, hardest part. Do you think Twinky even had the hardest part of fitting into town? I don't think Twinky would have even noticed if he wasn't fitting in. Nothing. Twinky don't care about whether he fits in or not. What was the hardest part of fitting into town? Not being able to answer people questions about himself. Okay, next one. Who helped you the most as you acclimated? God. Twinkie just, these ones doesn't care. Okay, so for MKZ it was easy. Little old lady who used to own the tavern, who took her in and employed her and showed her the way, showed her the ropes. Before handing it all over to her. For Carter, I think it was MKZ. For doing the same thing that the little old lady did. A place to stay, a job, and coming close to becoming a friend, spending time with him. Twinkie, who helped you the most as you acclimated? Do you think George wanted him to acclimate? And helped with that? Or did Twinkie not care? Twinkie don't care about whether he fits into town or not. Control C, Control V. Oh, one. Okay. Next question. What is your favorite memory of your time here? Twinky's time here. Meeting George. And, all the times they get to spend together. Carter's favorite memory. Fighting side by side with Mackenzie against the Mill Vale Tavern. Hired mercenaries. So what's Mackenzie's favorite memory? That's a tough one. Obviously something to do with Carter. Maybe it's the same as above. Just... during one of the repair. No. Building a proper roof for the lighthouse, for the attached lighthouse, so that they could open it as an inn. Being quite proud of herself for doing and achieving that. Doesn't have to be about no man. What surprised you the most about living in town? Twinky, Carter, and Mackenzie? Surprised you the most about living in town? I think... Would it be a serious one for Twinky or a not so serious one for Twinky at this point? Because it could either be that you can't... you thought it would be harder to continually fleece the townsfolk at cards. But there were still gullible people who would come back for more. Surprised you the most about living in town? That she could have people welcomed her, didn't judge her, weren't afraid of her, were kind. So kind and welcoming. Carter. Surprised the most about living in town. How happy and content people were, and how felt like he was home. Yeah, that's sweet, isn't it? Next question. What was the best dish you remember eating that one of you made? Twinky. Everything I make is the best. Carter. Kinsey. Key slime pie for Kinsey. Carter. Do I want to say that drink again? Or... This doesn't... I mean, that's not very good, is it? That dish, not dish, that drink. What would Carter like? I think Carter likes simple foods like stew and bread. What was the worst dish you remember eating that one of you made? Okay, everything I make is the best. Carter, those pies from the pie eating contest. Gag. Kinsey. Twinky's bad attitude. So obviously Twinky's made that drink for other people, not just Carter. What's the next one? Where is your favourite place in town? What's this a good one? Twinky. Carter, Kenzie. Actually, I want to go back. That habit. I feel like Carter was the one who found him. So it's not. I think that Carter is the one who goes for a swim in the lake because he's got a better relationship. Every morning, Carter has. This is how he finds Squishy one morning, taps of his, and takes him home. So, Carter's 2 habits. Yeah. Carter's the one who would find Squishy. Because Twinky's still cursed, so I don't see him wanting to go to the lake. So what is your favourite place in town? I think Carter's is the lake, obviously. The lake. It provides food. It's good for swimming. You get in some alone time. Found Squishy there. And it calms him. Kenzie, favorite place in town. I mean, we've said that Kenzie's gone to the old graveyard before, where the angel statue was when she was showing their friend, whose name I've forgotten, who has Irvine. Was it Irvine? And he had an ermine? Or is it Irvine? I can't remember. But I think... the tavern. An inn. For Twinkie, I think it is a funny one. The constabulary. Wherever the constabulary are. Wherever they... What is the constabulary department? Constabulary department. Because he is often hauled off there and gets to taunt the elf. Next question. What's your favourite race? What do you miss about adventuring? Twinkie, Carter, Kenzie. Loot. Different people to fleece. My shiny black boots. Carter. Mackenzie. Doesn't miss anything. She was always on the run and forced to be alone. Carter, what would Carter miss? What would he have remembered? That he could miss. He could have had some camaraderie. But I feel like he has that now, so I don't think he would miss it. Doing good? I mean, one could argue he still does good, just in a different way. Helping others, same thing. With a glass of the gods, he did that too. Can't even say being rewarded, because I guess it does feel rewarding. I don't know. Could he say he misses his memories of those times? Or is he at a place where he doesn't really care? Yeah, he's still doing the work of the gods. Everything he could have missed, he is still doing, just in different ways. Next question. What do you not miss about adventuring? Twinky. Smart people. Poor people. People who he couldn't fleece. Carter. Being alone. On the run. Carter, what doesn't he miss? Killing. It's funny, Mackenzie doesn't care about the killing. It's just being alone and on the run that she cared about. With the tavern running smoothly, I can't spell. What do you want to spend more time doing for yourself? Twinky. Crossbreeding slimes. Carter. I don't know. Mackenzie. Sleeping on the ground. No one misses that. Yep, you got that, TK. What is Carter needs a hobby, doesn't he? What is his hobby? Would Mackenzie be doing that? I was just thinking, teaching the kids sword fighting, defense maybe. But I don't know if that would be Carter or Mackenzie who would do that. I don't really know if Mackenzie would be peoply enough to do it, though, to be honest. Would Carter spend more time with the church to make sure that the undead doesn't become a problem? But they cremate there in Black Oak, so... Someone would probably teach the kids sword fighting. I think it might be Carter, though. Defense. Maybe he ropes Mackenzie into it, but what would Mackenzie do? I think she would do something other than that. What would she do? Oil painting. You reckon? Traded a sword, paintbrush, or pencil. A pencil. Drawing people. Mostly Carter. She spends her time drawing mostly Carter. Next question. What touch have you added to make the place you live feel like home? Twinky. Decorated room with the spoils of their labor. Winnings. Carter. Decorative slimes. Yeah. I think Carter plants. After M. Kinsey gave him a potted flower, he added more. I mean, the obvious one after all those drawings is to put all of those drawings on the walls, but that would look too obsessive, and also, how would that make that feel like home? She didn't really have a home, so what would she do instead of something obsessive? Just something that she would put there to make her that feel permanent. It doesn't have to make it feel like home, but something permanent. Maybe something not quite. What do you put in your room? I say as I think about my room, which has a bed, a cat tower, and shelves. Hang up her old boots. No more checking into Peril, but all the remember the Twinky's the one we've established as boots. But we got rid of her sword. Maybe she has more than one coat. She actually uses her wardrobe. Has clothes to put in her wardrobe. JR, I don't expect you to remember things. I can remember them, hopefully, for you. If you got sick, who would come care for you? Okay, Twinky would be, if George was in town, totes George. Otherwise, I'd have to suffer alone. For Carter, definitely Mackenzie. And for Mackenzie, I think you can guess Carter. All I wanted when we started the kids. What was that? Was a wardrobe? Or to remember things? Or no? Makes sense. Remember, whatever we've just talked about, I've already moved on and forgotten. That's how my mind works, I'm afraid. And, get sick. Okay. What's something you can't believe you lived without back when you were adventuring? Twinky. JR said, all I wanted when we started this was to set up a Twinky chaser goblin with a big hairy boyfriend. I'm happy we've done that. Oh, yeah, totally. Twinky, what can you believe about for George? Carter really doesn't remember too much, but I can't believe it. Maybe a bed. But that could be the same for Kinsey as well. Carter, I've put a bed. In Kinsey, I've put friends. Okay. Yeah, we're going through them. We still have a few more to go. Do you have plans to travel soon? Twinky. Yes, with George. Carter. No, I'm a property and business owner. Everything will surely fall apart without me. Especially if Twinky is left alone for too long. Carter. Yes. I think I remember my monastery, and I want to visit at least once. Maybe I can find some answers or fill in some gaps. I will return. But I won't be gone for long. That's better. What are you most proud of yourself for? Well, that one's easy for MKNZ for a change. Twinky. Key slime pie. Secret recipe I devised all by myself while I was drunk one night. Carter. Don't know yet. McKenzie. That roof, man! Building roof of the lighthouse. Carter's most proud of himself for. What is he proud of himself for? What makes him proud? I mean, he didn't feel proud when he couldn't protect that little old lady. Oh shit, I remember something that we forgot to tie up. Mackenzie's necrotic bite. Scroll up, I can answer that. And another question. When she was sick, just like he did when I fainted due to the necrotic bite from the undead. He somehow healed me completely. I don't even have a scar. I don't know how he did that. Maybe he called a priest while I was unconscious. There we go. Secured with a slime poultice. Most proud of himself? I think maybe healing? Being able to heal her? When she collapsed. Providing her relief from pain, and also finding a connection to the lost god. Refinding. Right, connection to the lost god. Yeah, there we go. It also covers it as well. Oh, that's a good question. Where have you put your keepsakes? Well, the obvious one is like in room. Does Twink even have keepsakes? Let's scroll up. I can't remember if he does or not. A very tall chef's hat almost as tall as these. I think it stays in the kitchen when he's not wearing it. Very tall chef's hat stays on a hook. No, on a pedestal under a glass dome while I'm not wearing it. I don't know if Garda has any keepsakes. McKenzie did have a keepsake. I don't have that open. Let me see if I can find it. Lionfish claw necklace from Irving the Ranger. I guess she has a little jewelry box. Just a lionfish claw necklace from Irvine the Ranger and the jewelry box that Carter gifted for her birthday. I put it in because I don't know if she even remembers her birthday. God, where does he put his keepsakes? On his shrine. On his prayer altar, his little prayer shelf. Any keepsakes he has got on a shelf that he has dedicated to his faith. Alright. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more questions. Who's coming over for dinner tomorrow? Twinky. The usual suspects. Customers. Carter. Oh, you know what? Mackenzie. We're having dinner together. See. I'm going to dinner with Carter. Yeah. Yes. Okay, cool. Where do you go when you need to think or calm down? I mean, isn't it similar to your favourite place? So we'll skip that one. What tradition do you now share with someone? Should we do that one? Yeah, okay. Tradition do you now share with someone? Twinky. Carter. And Kinsey. I think that Carter and Twinky probably often have drink. Often has a glass of Twinky's bad attitude with Twinky. Kinsey. Oh, that's not really a tradition, is it? Oh, I got one for Twinky. Regularly taunts the elf. What? It's a tradition. We share. Kinsey's tradition. This is the grave of the old lady and her husband. Not goes, puts flowers on the grave. Who her in and gave the tavern to show her thanks and respect. Alright. 2 more questions. What's a neat trick you've learned? How to... Oh. It's not a trick I've learned, but I've taught Squishy to play fetch. Kinsey, what's a trick she will learn? How to trick Twinky into doing something he doesn't want to do, but make him think it was his idea. Twinky's neat trick would be how to piss off the elf. So much how to piss off the elf in the shortest time possible to the point where he breaks his stoic look and acts and throws a tantrum. That's a neat trick. Last question. What do you look forward to every week? Twinky. George's leaders. Carter. Date night with MTC. Spending uninterrupted time with Carter. There we go. So obviously they've all given up permanently on adventuring and have settled down with regular routines in the tavern and the inn and have formed relationships, networks, friendships with people amongst themselves, each other, and the rest of the town. They've helped protect it. They have solidified their place in Black Oak, and they have become happy. All thanks to whatever it was that caused them to come to this town and meet each other, and come specifically to this tavern. Wow, that took us a wee while, but we got there. And I want to thank all you guys for coming here with me on this journey with these characters. I hope you had fun too. Thank you for all of the suggestions, for your comments, and everything you've done, for being here just even. I cannot make sentences make sense. I've had a blast. It's been good. It hasn't directly translated to solo play, but we managed to make it work. JR says it was cozy and fun. TK says, yay, congratulations. Oh, it's great. I guess that's is it. I'll just wave awkwardly while I find the bye-bye button. Thank you everyone for joining me. I'll see you. Bye.